encourage your soul, enlighten your mind, and empower your faith. This is the Light Network.
You know what time it is, no matter where you've been. So let's do it again. Listen up and let the sun shine in. We've got soul training. Time to practice what you preach. Ooh, yeah. Yes, we do. We've got soul training.
And here's Daniel, Alan, and Joe.
Hey, Joe, what is your archaeological depth and breadth of experience? What have you done in life?
Well, when I was a kid, I dug in the dirt a little bit.
Yeah, I had a sandbox. I filled that baby up, but you put me in some sand and
I've seen all of the Indiana Jones movies except the very last one. I hadn't watched that one.
I've never seen one of those.
Really? Oh,
Never.
You're missing out.
What? Are you
I
kidding
need
me?
to. I'll work on that, but I never have. I'm like you. I played in the dirt, and had little trucks and backhoes and all those things, and I always thought archaeology was cool. You ever found any? Have you ever found any Indian money?
No. No, I thought arrowheads was. I didn't know you found Indian money.
Yeah, that's what we used to call it. Well, even when our kids were little, we'd be outside. Well, it was referred to as Indian money. It looked like little fossilized miniature snakes. They're just really small, like a little circle bill. It's called the Indian money. But I couldn't tell if it was a dime or a nickel or. Yeah. But Daniel, he's playing in a big sandbox right now that he's going to talk to us about. He's actually living the life of an archaeologist. He's with a real life team of archaeologists, and I'll let him tell us where he is. I know where we are, but I did want to share this since we're going to talk about archaeology. I saw this on Facebook, so it's got to be true. I shared it with you all. Daniel, I'm hoping, will confirm this while he is where he is. Archaeologists uncover glitter still in early church carpet from VBS held 150 AD. So, Daniel, can you confirm or deny that after you tell everybody where you are and what you're doing? It's your show.
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and I guess deny that. That's that's a funny Facebook thing that's been going around. But if there were glitter using it back then, I'm sure it would still be there. That stuff, like I hate it. It once it gets on something, it's there like forever. Um, but yeah, so where I'm at, I'm in Israel right now, in Jerusalem, is where I'm calling in from, and have been here for about a week now, a little over a week maybe. Um, and it has just been one of the best weeks of my life. The stuff we've seen and done has just been absolutely unbelievable, and has really just enhanced and affirmed my understanding of so many biblical events, to be there where the settings are. But yeah, so we're here on an archaeological dig, and I I can't tell you how blessed I feel to be a part of not only a dig, but this specific dig, because this is not some like, random remote town that's mentioned in the Bible one time. This is a really, really significant dig that we're on.
And so, where might that be? What are you looking? I mean, you're digging around in the dirt searching for something. So, what are you looking for?
Yeah, we are. Okay, so we're in Shiloh. All right, so Shiloh is where the tabernacle takes on its permanent form, right? So after the time of the conquest, the Israelites come in, and for over 300 years, the tabernacle is there in Shiloh. This is during the time period of the Judges. This is where the story of Hannah and Samuel takes place. This is all right here in Shiloh. And I guess I don't know, let the cat out of the bag or whatever. I'm not even sure. I don't even think this has been published yet. So what I'm telling you now,
Is this top secret?
I'm
I
not.
think it's top secret, Alan.
We won't tell him. I
It
won't tell
may
anybody.
it may be a little top secret. I'm really not sure how much I'm actually supposed to talk about it, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys.
Okay, we won't tell anybody,
But
but Joe, pinky promise.
Pinky, you got it.
right, so by the time of Samuel, it seems like the tabernacle had taken on some sort of permanent structure, because they weren't moving it around anymore. It was in that place and had been in that place for longer than America's been a country, a long, long time.
400 years.
Um, yeah. And so you even have phrases in Samuel where you've got references to the temple. Well, some people have thought that was anachronistic because that's before Solomon's temple was built, and so why are you talking about a temple? And you have things like the doors of the tabernacle. Well, if it's still a tent, you don't really have a door anymore. So it seems like it had some sort of semi-permanent, like we have some walls. Maybe we still had the tent going over the top, um, and a door and stuff like that. So the traditional site for where the tabernacle sat in Shiloh is this place that's outside the city walls. But that doesn't really make sense that you would take the most important thing you have as a nation and leave it unprotected outside the walls. So what the guy that's leading this dig believes is that that actually was kind of a quarry. His name's Scott Stripling. He's a well-regarded archaeologist. He's not a member of the Church of Christ, but he is a Bible believing individual, which shamefully is not that common among archaeologists. So many are coming at it without believing the Bible, but he is looking to verify the Bible. Anyway, so he's found the site inside the city walls that um, is exactly the dimensions of the tabernacle. And he believes, it's officially called a monumental building because we can't prove what it is just yet. But it looks like this may be not only where the tabernacle sat, but actually the permanent form of the tabernacle. And so what the way the thing is laid out is when you go to archaeological dig, they have the whole thing, strung out in squares, and so you would get assigned to a square, and you're digging that square. So what our particular square that Tiffany and I have been working on is we're trying to uncover the south wall of the tabernacle. Um, I can't believe that's what we're getting to work on. I thought I needed the tabernacle was that shallow, but I thought we'd be, digging up bones in a repository somewhere, or maybe helping to excavate the gate or something like that. But we're actually trying to uncover one of the walls of the tabernacle. I can't. How cool is
That's
that?
pretty cool. So I know in archaeology, they find a site and they dig there for like years and years, a lot of times, forever.
Yeah. Hmm.
So you said you're trying to uncover the wall. Have you found anything that would lead you to believe that wall is there? Have you touched the stone?
Yeah. Actually, the what we think is the Holy of Holies is pretty well uncovered,
That is
and
nuts. I mean,
that
as
is
believers,
so
it makes
nuts.
sense to us that it would be there, But
Right.
it's still
Yes.
just seeing it. Jesus talked about that. You all believe in me because you've seen me. Blessed are those that haven't seen me and still believe. Well, you're getting to
Right.
see things older than Jesus. In human form on this earth through the tabernacle. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's exactly so. Like the north wall is uncovered. The area of the Holy of Holies is uncovered, and so we think the south wall is right under us, and so that's what we're trying to dig down to. And you're talking about being older than the time of Jesus. A big thing that we did this week is we actually had to, it was documented and photographed and all that, but then we had to deconstruct. We had to remove a first century wall. It was a retainer wall that was there blocking us from getting down to the tabernacle.
You had to
So
remove the
we
2,000-year-old wall so you could get to the 4,000-year-old wall, right?
exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
I
crazy.
just had and I'm coming at this, Joe's got, I can tell by how he framed his questions and listened to his conversation. He has a great understanding and knowledge base.
I don't think I have a great
Of
understanding of
well,
anything, but
more than me. I really, literally, my extent of archaeology really took place in sandbox. That's really about it. But I'm coming at this from a very lay person's point of view, and I'm asking super elementary questions here. But when it comes to a site like that, I mean, I'm wondering how many sites are there in the Bible lands that are constantly under archaeological activity, and then who decides? Who has autonomy or rights to go digging, so to speak? I mean, like if me and Joe, I don't know if we inherited, a couple $1 million and money's not an object, and we're just going to fly over to where you are and just, say, hey, we're just going to go there. I mean, who sets all the parameters? I mean, like who's going to follow you? How did you get there? How are you allowed to be there?
That's a great series of
all
questions.
just all of those things in general.
Yeah. So first of all, you dig in. There's not nearly enough archaeologists digging over here. It's been estimated that Israel is only 15 to 20% excavated. There's so much stuff
Say that
that
again. How much has
we
only been excavated in how many years?
15 to 20%
Wow.
since they've been doing archaeology, which archaeology is a comparably new field. Yeah, they've only been doing that for a couple of hundred years now,
in
really.
Israel,
Um,
it's been newer there. My understanding is they started that within the past, it really picked up in the middle of the 1900s sometime, because that's when Israel became
yeah,
a
and
nation again.
right. That's true. That's true. Um, but there needs to be so much more that is done, a- and it's it's shocking to me that there hasn't been more done. But it's a really slow process. So you said who has the authority over it? There's the Israeli Antiquities Authority um, that you have to work through. They're the ones that give permission to do it. They're the ones that the head archaeologist is having to answer to all the time, and they're the ones that give that permission. So if you were going to start a dig, you would have to get their permission to do it, and they would be kind of overseeing what you're
But
doing.
not
Um,
that me and Joe are ready to
You get a permit like you
take
do
off.
if
So you just show up and you have to do
no, you don't show up.
But I mean,
You
get
get a
your
permit, right?
Yep.
And then
yeah, it's an involved
Yeah.
thing.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't. When I said show up, I don't know if you just showed up and went up to the office and knocked on the door, and hey,
I don't know.
with
You'd
your
have to
shovel,
ask.
you show up with your shovel.
me and Joe are here.
I'd like to dig somewhere, please. I don't think it works like that.
But it's a process.
I guess you'd have to ask the head archaeologist about that aspect of it. Um, but like I said, it's slow, and one of the reasons it's slow is they like have dig seasons. So like here at Shiloh, this is I think it's the seventh or eighth year they've been digging here, but they only dig for like 5 or 6 weeks a year.
Why is that?
Wow.
And so I don't really know. I don't know if they're spending the rest of the year kind of processing the finds because we're finding stuff all the time. There's just piles and piles of broken pottery that they're
And
going
that's
through.
how, you know what, Alan, I do know a little bit about art. Pottery is how they date the area, right? And so if you're
right.
finding
That's right.
pottery from a certain era, you can conclude that that building is probably from that certain era too.
What do you-
Yeah,
when
exactly.
you find something, though, I think I know the answer to this. My next question, but when you find something, what do you do with it? Like if you found like something like a cup, you couldn't go, man, Granny sure would like to, like to get that for her for Christmas.
No, you don't. Well, okay. So, for example, we found several coins. We found an old tack. We found tons of pottery, and then that's just in our square. And the other squares are finding stuff too. Like one of the cool things that they have found several of is what they call a scarab. And what the scarab it's called a scarab because on one side it looks like a scarab beetle. On the bottom side is a stamp. And so it's a thing that was used like in official communications with Egypt.
That's
So
cool.
whatever. It is really cool. Um, but anyway, so like when we find a coin, for example, um, it's they make detailed notes as to where it was found. We have to like stop what we're doing and we measure down to it. So we know already the kind of the strata that we're at. We measure down so we know precisely where those coins were found and that's logged and kept away. They keep detailed records of
Well,
everything. So like
that's
when we
important, Daniel, because a lot of times cities are built or on top of each other. And so as you go down,
absolutely.
the older it gets.
Mhm.
I'm explaining it to the.
Yeah, one
See,
civilization
Joe knows
comes
what
and
you know
builds on
what's up,
top of the
don't you?
next.
Joe
And
knows.
I
it
know a
does.
little. Well, go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Daniel.
And that's called a tell. You've heard tell this and tell that. That's where you have these mounds where a city has been built upon by multiple civilizations over time. Like we visited one place yesterday that had 20 strata in that same tell of where it had been built on top of that same spot that many times.
And a lot of times,
Yeah,
Daniel,
so
that is, if you have a tail, that's an indicator that something important happened there. There's a reason why they're wanting to keep building on that same spot.
yeah, that's true. Sometimes it's just like geographically advantageous, and sometimes really when there's a evidence of like sacred activity, that's a key that something important is taking place
I
there.
mean, like maybe water.
Um, Water is very important. You got to have water for civilization. Yeah, so that would be a thing. So, like how the process kind of goes is we we're digging and we have these big they call them goofas and it's a big bucket. It looks like a three
What do you
gallon
call
bucket.
you?
It's a weird word. Yeah,
I don't
goofa.
know what up.
I've been calling them
I don't know
goofies,
what I've
but
done to Daniel.
it's it's like a bucket made out of tire rubber. It's kind of what it's like, about a 3 gallon bucket or so, what it looks like to me. Anyway, so we fill these with dirt. We take out the big rocks and put them aside and put all the dirt we're digging into one of those, and we take it over to a dry sifting station. And in the dry sifting station, they sift it through and pick out anything of interest from that. And then the stuff they sifted through uh, goes to a wet sifting station where it's washed with water, and they'll find stuff that gets missed by the dry sifting.
I'm really not trying to
Um,
get you to walk out with anything, but is there any, do you ever get to just something minuscule? I mean, just like, and when you all get done, when your party is finished, I mean, your group, or rather, when y'all are finished, do you ever get an opportunity? Okay, guys,
A souvenir.
a
Do you get
souvenir. Yeah, this is, we've got 6,000 goofas. Take a goofa with you, or we've got 6,000 pennies, or whatever denarii. I can just take one with you.
we're not going to be taking anything of any
Okay.
value. Um, so I'm going to remain silent as to whether there's
He
anything at all
listen.
that.
He can't tell. This is a public broadcast.
I thought it was just, you always said it was just us talking.
Okay, so Daniel, I got a couple things. One, it's so I forgot, Alan. I do know a little bit about archaeology.
Oh, I
and
know
it's
that. I give you-
primarily through biblical archaeology. There's a guy that puts out these YouTube videos and writes books. His name is Joel Kramer, and he's not a member of the Lord's Church either, but he's a believer, and he's, like you said, an archaeologist using the Bible because he believes that to be true and accurate to find things. And well, lo and behold, if the Bible says something was there, he can go find it, which it's bonkers to me that there are non-believing archaeologists. How can they use the Bible if they don't believe that that's true? They obviously believe geographically it's true. So that's bonkers to me. But anyhow, this guy, Joel Kramer, his YouTube channel, I'm going to throw him a pitch here, is Expedition Bible. And you can see a lot of different things there through the Bible lands that he's uncovered or exposes that others have uncovered. And then he has a book called Where God Came Down. And Daniel, I don't know if you've read that, or it's kind of like a coffee table book, honestly. But it shows different places where God came down. One of those is going to be, the Ark of the Covenant was at Shiloh. And so I don't know if that's in his book or not, but there's a lot of different places you can read about in there. It's really cool. Check that out, everybody. Dan, you might be interested in that now that you're a certified archaeologist.
Yeah, I would. Um, and that may be a topic for our follow-up podcast, but talking about places where God came down that I've got to experience on this trip, digging on the tabernacle. We took a trip over to Beth Shemesh, and that's the place where when the Philistines had captured the Ark of the Covenant and God kept punishing them, they're like, we got to get rid of this thing. They put it on a cart and send it off. Where it goes back to is Beth Shemesh. And there's a place there that they feel like probably the Bible talks about a large stone that they set the ark on. We think we found that, and so I went. I touched
That's
that.
pretty cool.
I touched the stone that the ark sat
And you
on.
didn't die.
Probably.
It's okay to touch the
And I didn't
stone that the
die.
ark sat on, not the ark.
Yes, wouldn't touch the ark. Don't touch the ark. Don't do that. But touch the stone that sat on. Um, and then going into the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, when you go into the tomb of Jesus and you see where he lay, and then there's this other slab there where they think the body was prepared. I touched both of those things. Talk about a place that God came down.
And those are covered in Joel's book. I can't wait to talk to you. I know that we have very limited time with you. You've got a hard
Yes.
exit, but you got 3 questions.
I've got
Let me ask my question.
Okay, go.
You mentioned before you went over there that there were bones they were finding, but only one side of the animal. Am I misremembering that?
Yeah, no, you're right. They found tons and tons of bones, and from the Israelite period, there are dramatically fewer, pork bones than there were in other
Makes
times.
sense.
And also, they can tell which side of the animal that the bones have come from, and there are disproportionately more from, I believe it's the right side, which is the side that the priests were able to keep. That's the side they kept, and they kind of gave the other side back. If you remember in the story of Elkanah and Hannah, when they would go down and make their offering, that was also a time of feast. And so they're actually getting to take back some of that offering to to eat then and have a festival with.
That's cool.
Anyway, yeah. So yeah, that I think that is cool.
I got 3 questions, 1 statement, Daniel, real quick. My
right.
statement is this. When you see Gary Hill, tell him that I said hello. He does not know me, but I watched him on the Gospel Broadcasting Network, and he really intrigued me like 15 years ago with
He's a cool guy. I love Gary so
Jim
much.
Dearman always had Gary Hill on, and he dressed like an archaeologist on this really nice, commentary of a Christian interview. So I really just tell Gary I'm going
to see him in like 3
tell
minutes.
him I am an admirer, and send me a picture of you and him together, please.
I'll tell you.
My question
sure.
is, did you all have to do like a crash course of training or like do's and don'ts, like a real quick group development? This is what you can do. This is your job. Okay.
Yes.
Had to do that.
Yeah.
And then what's the weather like there?
Hot and dry.
Okay. Well, that was my other question. Is it a dry heat? I actually had.
It is a dry heat.
I had another question, but Joe, with his stare down, I can't remember what it was.
Well, I know Daniel. He has more work to do. So,
yeah.
And what time is it? It's in the morning here. What time is it there?
It's 5:58 p.m. I got to be done at 6.
Okay, that's awesome.
So we'll go ahead and end so Daniel can get about his day. I can see him on the camera. I can tell he's got some sun. Alan, you want to come check him out?
Well, yeah, spin your.
But it's good to see you, Daniel.
Hey, Daniel, how are you? Looks
hey.
just like you.
Right.
Safe travels back home. We miss you guys. Can't wait to see you in person.
Yeah, you too, guys. Love y'all.
Yeah,
Love you
too,
more.
brother. All right, we'll talk to you later. We should mention this is the first episode of the new season. We've taken, at this point, when they hear it, a 2-month break because of the light network. They do that.
Wow,
So
we're touching the future.
So this will be in the yes. Well,
Yeah, how
all of our
about that?
recordings will be released in the future. But yeah, this one a couple months.
Yeah, dear listener, hope you had a great
So
summer.
can you take us home all the way from Israel, Daniel?
Vamp
Let's do
us
it.
out.
Yes. So, dear listener, thank you for being a part of this special episode of Soul Training. It's special to me, anyway. And we want to thank the elders at South Green Street for making Soul Training possible. And on behalf of Alan and Joe, I'm Daniel. Until next time, keep soul training.
Soul training. Time to practice what you preach. Ooh, yeah. Yes, we do. We've got soul training.
To learn more, you can email us at soultrainingpodcast@gmail.com, or you can write to us, P.O. Box 503, Glasgow, Kentucky, 42142. That's Soul Training.